in here, and then if you'll raise your hands, and we'll get to the questions here in just a second. Thanks.
Well, I've been pleased with the players' preparation this week in practice. I think the effort has been good. The intensity level has been good. But I'm encouraging the players to make all their decisions based on winning. Um, each day you have to choose to try to dominate the guy you're facing every day in practice so that you can sort of create the habits you need to be able to finish plays, finish games, play one play at a time in a game so you can, finish games. And I think that's the big thing that we're trying to emphasize to our players. We got to finish. You got to finish blocks. You got to finish your tackles. You got to finish the cleanup on defense. Finish runs. I mean, that's the big thing. We haven't played a game for a long time, so we got to get out of practice mode and make sure we're practicing to develop the habits that are going to become a part of our DNA as competitors in terms of how we play in the game. So that's probably the most important thing. As I mentioned, we're really looking forward to this game. Good Missouri team, playing in a unfamiliar place really to us. But the field will be 100 yards deep and 53 yards wide. So we got to go there and compete and stay focused on what we got to do and keep out all the distractions and try to focus on what we need to do to play and execute and do the things we need to do to be successful in the game.
Okay, we will open with Mike Rodak.
Nick, just how much of a challenge will it be to have your mask on at all times on the sidelines, but also be able to speak into your headset and have players hear you?
Well, I think, this is the kind of, mask that I wear, and it is a little bit difficult, to speak, with this kind of mask. I may do a little research in the next couple of days and see if there, is something better to do. I think, especially when you're, talking to somebody from a distance, it's kind of natural to want to pull it down, and so you can, not yell at them, but yell to them, whatever it is the point you're trying to make. So I think it will be a challenge, but I also think it's important, for everybody to respect what we're trying to do so that we can play safely.
We'll go to Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach, just want to ask you about the punters. You said there's a healthy competition there. Just how have you seen that progress, and do you expect to maybe see multiple guys kick on Saturday?
No, because we're not going to take multiple guys on a trip. We can't, take extra specialists. We're going to evaluate how everybody did, over the course of this week. I think we have 3 guys that are very competitive at that position, and we'll probably make the decision tomorrow. But we're not going to take multiple punters, and we can't afford to do that on the road. We need to take as many healthy players as we can that can have a role and contribute in some way, to the team and to the depth of the team.
Okay, go to James Ogletree.
Hey, Coach, you've talked often about how the biggest key for Mac is playing the next play and moving on and not being too emotional, and about the progress that he's made in his ability to do that. I'm curious if there was a specific turning point where you really saw him start to grasp that at whatever point in his career.
Well, I think last year when he played, for the most part, he did a good job of, staying within himself and doing that. I think sometimes in practice, especially when things don't go exactly like we have them drawn up, he can, sort of overanalyze things a little bit in terms of maybe why it didn't work rather than just focusing on the next play. But basically in the last scrimmage, I thought he played really, really well. I saw, really good signs of, what he needs to be as a leader and to be the quarterback to play winning football, and I was very encouraged by that.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande next.
Yeah, Nick, just wondering, what was the biggest question mark you hope to answer with the game Saturday at Missouri?
Well, I think there's a lot of questions. I don't think there's a biggest question. I mean, every player that you're playing that's a new player that hasn't been a starter before, is obviously how they're going to respond when they get in a game environment, especially young players who haven't been in a situation like that before. I think when you have new starters at any position, regardless of what their role on the team has been, in the past. How are they going to respond to the new role, the new responsibility that they have? Same thing at the leadership. Some guys are assuming leadership roles now that, they didn't have to do in the past, even though they played. How are they going to, manage that? So there's a lot of questions that get answered in the first game. I think, first games usually tell you a lot about where you are and who you are. And that will be probably the most interesting thing to find out, for us, overall.
Okay, we'll go to Drew Carter with NBC 13.
Hey, Coach. Earlier this week, we saw Mac Jones pretty much name every starter on the Missouri defense with their number and a little scouting report on them, too. What do you think that says about his preparation for this game specifically and as a whole?
Well, I think that's really what you'd like for players to do in terms of their preparation. You got to know yourself, obviously, but you also have to know your opponent. And they have a very good defensive team. I think our players respect that. And they've got a lot of starters back from a year ago. So that's a good thing that we're well prepared. We understand exactly who's going to be where. I think that's important for the quarterback. It's important for the offensive line, especially when it comes to pass protection and point outs. And the running back has to know the same thing. So same thing for the defensive players. They need to know who the wide receivers are. They can end up in various places. They need to know who the tight ends are. They need to know who the runners are. So, we try to do a very thorough job of getting them that information. We also even, have what we call signal callers meetings where, a player is assigned to a specific thing that he has to research and study and then report on Friday night to his teammates. So these are all ways to try to get players to understand how to prepare for a game.
Okay, we'll go to Brett Hudson.
Hey, Coach, how much has Christian Barmore been able to do in practice this week, and do you see him being available Saturday?
I can't really say right now. He's done a little more each day. I think, when you have an injury like this, sometimes the more you do it, it creates a little soreness, and then you have to back off a little bit. Then you can do a little bit more the next day. So he's worked every day, this week, and he's made progress. And we're encouraged by, the progress that he makes. I think he gets a little frustrated because he wants to be 100%. But, players have to learn that when they come back from injuries, you have to be able to give 100% of whatever you have. If you're 70% and you can give 100% of 70%, that's how you get to 75, 80, 85, 90, and that's how you get back to 100%. But you can't get frustrated just because you're not 100% the first day you hit the field. But you have to learn how to give 100% of 70%, all right, so that you can get back to 100% as quickly as possible.
Okay, we've got two quick ones to finish up. We'll start with Cassie.
Coach, how would you rate Alabama football's overall response to dealing with the pandemic and COVID-19 when it comes to contact tracing, testing, and all of those additional obstacles we've faced this year?
Oh, I think our medical staff has done a phenomenal job with our players. We've probably done more testing here than anybody in the country. I think, we may still be one of the few schools that are testing every day. And it's all for player safety. And the players have done a good job of managing their personal bubble, whether it's in meetings, wearing a mask, keeping seats between guys so we're not close together. We even changed some of the meeting rooms around here. We did Syntex, which is a air, whatever, purifier, whatever that's supposed to kill germs, in all the meeting rooms. And I think we've done a phenomenal job. I think the job that you do in this is not relative to how many guys have positive tests, because I think, something as contagious as this is very hard to control. But I do think that we have really emphasized through education with our players. I think on 3 or 4 occasions we had medical doctors actually Zoom with our team and educate them, on this disease, educate them on managing their personal bubble, educate them on the importance of testing, how they can avoid, maybe putting themselves at risk in terms of, catching this. So it's an everyday, ongoing, 24/7, process to, manage a personal bubble. And I think the education process and the things that we've done internally from a medical staff standpoint has really gone well. And I think the thing that really, to me, is the answer to that question is, do the players trust and believe in the things that we're doing so they don't feel uncomfortable doing what we're asking them to do? And we haven't had much of that.
Okay, we'll finish up with Chris from The Athletic.
Yeah, a bit off topic, but Billy Napier, he's got Louisiana Lafayette ranked. Obviously, you worked with him. What was it like working with him, and what's it been like seeing his success as a head coach?
Well, we're always happy to see guys that have worked with us in the past, been on our staff, do well. I certainly have a lot of respect for Billy. I actually went over and spoke at a fundraiser at ULL a couple years ago to, help his program out. And we played him a couple years ago or last year. I can't remember. It's been a while back. But they were very well coached and very difficult, to stop offensively, and their players play hard. They're very disciplined. So I think he's done a phenomenal job with the program there. It's no surprise to me. He comes from kind of a coaching family, and he was a very dedicated, good person who believes in a lot of the principles and values that I think, can help you be successful as a coach. So this is no surprise to me, and we're very happy to see that he's doing well there.
All right, thanks, Coach. That's all we got.
All right, thank you.